Chapter 14 is about renewable energy. I know the title of the textbook said energy alternatives, but I'm like more used to using the term renewable. We're going to learn about different types of novel, new renewable energy, and I want you to pay attention to energy conservation. And I want you to understand the challenges associated with the transition to alternative energy and the importance we have to opt for the alternatives. So this is overview of how the energy is used in the world. And this is energy consumption per person. I'm not talking about the total. The total, the developing country may have more than the developed countries because they are still developing their industry. We can see North Americans consume a lot of energy per person. The reason behind it is one of them is transportation. And in the developing countries, people use energy mainly for cooking and heating at home. And in developed countries, people kind of use energy on industry, residential, and transportation equally. So now you understand my question in the test, the ecological footprint of Tanzania, which is an African developing country. Most of their energy is used on food and shelter. Okay, they do not have the luxury to spend on transportation. And a lot of people choose transportation. No. And this is comparison of per capita energy consumption for transportation. And the more developed country spend more energy on transportation, and the less developed country kind of spend very small percentage of the energy on transportation. And also because of the more dense population, the massive public transportation system is more popular in those countries. And because electrical energy is so convenient to transport and use, so major form of energy we can use is electricity. And this is a very interesting graph. And you can see that European countries use a lot of renewable energy. Norway, most of the energy comes from the hydropower. Iceland also. Iceland use a big chunk of geothermal energy. And France, majority of energy comes from nuclear power. And if you look at Germany, a majority is still fossil fuels, but they are transitioning more to the renewable energy. Okay, if you look at United States, here this is how much we use fossil fuel and how much comes from nuclear power and the renewable energy. And I want you to think about why those countries can use such a large percentage of renewable energy. Thomas Edison prophesied long time ago. He said the fossil fuel will be running out, so we better think about solar energy. And this young guy in Africa, their family is so poor, he has to drop out of school. So he invented a windmill, which is really smart, but he was accused of witchcraft. And that is very interesting. Why are wind and solar power use growing? Texas and the Midwest are leading in development of wind turbines. Well, California and Arizona are leaders in solar energy. That's the trend for now. And the business predict the opportunities for wind and solar power growth will continue to improve. And since 2008, wind and solar power have been competing with natural gas for the top spot. This is really exciting, I think. A lot of corporation entrepreneurs support developing wind power. And global wind power has experienced rapid growth with consumption doubling between 2010 and 2015. Iowa used wind power for more than 30% of its in-state electricity generation, while Texas, wow, is the largest producer of wind power overall. And steady winds are favorable for using wind power, for sure, right? And if you look at the wind energy potential across the United States, Texas does not have the most favorable conditions. Those light colors are marginal fair, and deeper colors are outstanding superb. You can see most of the Texas area is just marginal and fair. A little bit good area. Why I mention this? Because I want you to think about Germany and Texas. Now I want you to think about Texas in using the wind. Texas is a leader. Only 4 countries has more wind power than Texas, and Texas is in the first place in several years in a row. Although the potential does not look good, but thanks to the smart state policy and the advancement of technology, we can use a lot of wind power. My take-home message is here: if you're determined to do it, you can achieve great results. It's depending on you, what you want to do. You can say, oh, I don't have good resources, but Texas is a very successful example in using wind energy. Solar power. Texas also have a great potential for solar power, right? So the main thing I want to say here is the PVC panel. It's just a panel convert the sun energy into electricity. I'm not going to test the details of this. And I want you to know advantages of solar energy are free, accessibility, none cannot be depleted, quick installations, and no air water emissions. Isn't that fantastic? Some of the areas required the home to be installed with those devices, and the disadvantages, you need large space, large area of land, but we can be creative, right? And relative consistent access to sunlight, that's one reason people hesitate to use that. And other energy alternatives are hydropower and nuclear power and geothermal power. The hydropower use the drop of the water, use that force to turn the turbine and generate electricity. The disadvantage is you have to displace larger numbers of people. This is one of our projects in China. Like 1 million people have to be relocated. And also it does not eliminate the carbon emissions. But still that is a very powerful alternative to the fossil fuel. Nuclear power is very clean. The energy comes from splitting the nucleus. You remember when we talk about atomic structures, the protons and the neutrons, especially neutrons, they cluster together, and the protons, they are all positively charged but hold very tight together. When that fall apart, there's huge energy released from splitting the nucleus. The challenge will be control the heat. Okay, so large amount of water is used to cool down the reactor. Okay, so this is a cooling tower to cool down the water before release the water back into the environment. Remember, heat pollution is a kind of pollution also. If the temperature in the natural water sometimes elevated abnormally, the aquatic species will die. And there's horrible accidents happened because of the negligence of the safety protocol. Okay, so in a few seconds, tremendous amount of heat accumulated. That's the reason to cause those accidents, like 1986 Chernobyl accident, and 2011. This is caused by tsunami, causing the malfunctioning of the nuclear power plant, leaking of the material and explosion. And so people have to build very expensive infrastructure to restore those nuclear material. And they can linger around for thousands of years.